So Arrowhead have gifted us somewhat a more satisfying Warbond in
Force of Law.
a much busier looking Warbond compared to the Masters of Ceremony one. We got ourselves a primary, throwable, 2 stratagems, 4 patterns, a utility, 2 player banners, 2 capes, 3 emotes with 1 that I thought was a victory pose already at this point. So we're going to watch the trailer and stop a few times and talk about a few interesting points that have stood out to me. And we'll finish up by looking at each item that's included in the Helldivers X post about the Warbond in general. So we got ourselves 2 weapons, an assault rifle with apparently a rather large magazine with a blue band around it. So maybe this indicates that this gun has a stun buff on it, much like the Pummeler, sort of back in the day when that thing was absolutely kicking ass against the boss. And we can also see that's a fairly large magazine too. So the GL52 de-escalator looks like a crowd control weapon. As you can see, it kills a few of the Illuminate, the Voteless, but there are a handful that are still left. So don't know how I feel about a crowd control grenade launcher. I feel like you would just take the grenade launcher in general. So the gun itself kind of gives away, yeah, AR-32 pacifier. So we look at that as in calming down. We can assume that this is going to be an again, somewhat buffed weapon when it comes to the stun, which I imagine is like obviously the blue taper here and here. It's most certainly going to be a crowd control weapon, but with a magazine of that size, I'd like to think that it does in fact do some damage too. I don't want the gun to be like all gear and no idea, do you know what I mean? Can we take note too on the theme of the Warbond? We can see that the helmet here is absolute homage to Robocop. You've got the visor in general and the protruding outer layer of it, and you've also got a circular disc here, which would be the removal of the helmet from Robocop, but there it's probably for the visor. The 80s retro vibe with this Warbond is quite fitting, to be honest, because when you think about it, Helldivers is kind of a satire on over-the-top action, and we associate that immediately with 80s action movies and stuff like that. So I'm all for these kind of crossovers, and that means that there's a potential for a kind of retro vibe to exist in the Helldivers movie. I'm going to keep that in mind for my next video, man. This thing scares me. Okay, so this gets to the point as to why I think that this is going to be more of a solo diver-driven kind of Warbond, because I don't know anybody that would willingly take one of these in a group or just off the cuff by pressing R and jumping into a random game. If some guy joined my mission with one of those, I'd be petrified. If the whole squad's wearing armor with the passive 4 arc damage, then okay, fair enough. But you've all got to wear it and you might as well all use it. That would actually be a pretty powerful setup, in all honesty. You could get ridiculous with this though. You could get 4 divers with the appropriate passive armor. These guys, man, that would be hilarious to watch. Well, moving on. Now, with that shot, as you can see, it kills a few of them, but to me, it doesn't kill enough. I don't think it fires again, does it? No, it doesn't, which is really disappointing because now this kind of depends on how quick its fire rate is. If it's not even damaging these guys at the front at all, then you may as well bring a gas rover or a laser rover. I think we're going to have to wait and see what the fire rate is on this, but it has to be outstanding to be used, in my opinion. Okay, so this thing, the G109 Urchin, looks to stun these big boys. I don't know whether it's going to... I would like to think that it would burst in a fragmentation style thing. That would be cool. But at the moment, the trailer only shows it stunning this flesh mob, which is kind of cool, but it kind of depends on the amount that you get and if there is damage that comes along with it. If it's just a simple stun and that's it, then I don't see too much of a purpose when you've got the gas grenades. With that, they're corrosive, it works, it crowd controls really well, and it's not just at one single thing. So I don't know, maybe this thing would explode. I'd like to think that something that looks like... Let's see it again. Damn, dude. At first I saw that and I was like, maybe that's indicating corrosive or danger explosion, but it's obviously for the stun ability that it has. New armor sets and capes. Now that we're on the topic, this thing, can I zoom in on? No, I can't. Damn. A lot of people have been associating the Warbond with Judge Dredd, whereas I feel like I'm very few, if not the only person that feels this Warbond is more Robocop themed, especially with this armor here. You know, you've got the visor here, the little disc on the side. It's great. It's awesome. I love it. You don't necessarily need to see Peter Weller's head here, but you can see with the armor itself, it's almost identical, or at least it definitely pays homage. I like seeing there's consistency at the moment when it comes to capes, because I think there's the majority of them don't look good. But the recent Super Earth one, the one that looks like that is, and also these, they're just unique designs. They look a bit different. I like them. So the names of the armors, BP-20 Correct Officer, which is the heavy Robocop themed one, and the B-32 Jackboot, which I'm not too sure about that one. Although the badge at the bottom here does look, oh, well, you can see one there too, is really reminiscent of the Judge Dredd badge. Ah, yeah, bloody hell. Yeah, they did that really well, didn't they? For the similarity side of things. Yeah, they did that really well. GG. Nothing special, but I kind of get a little bit of an Alien vibe with this. You know, the yellow and black tape along it. I know it looks nothing like a power loader or anything, but we're getting close. We're getting close to an Aliens crossover. I know it. I feel it in my bones. And it's always satisfying to see a voteless taking a minigun to the chops. See what I mean? Beautiful. That does look pretty sick though, doesn't it? That's what people should get tattooed, man. That looks dope. I mean, as well, you don't need to be told it's a Robocop-themed Warbond with the fact that he's stepping out of the car, like pulling off one of the most iconic movie posters of all time. Do you know what I mean? They did it good, man. It's awesome. Marvel end credit scene. Look at that. There's your Judge Dredd theme. See, I don't usually like wearing heavy armor because it looks big, bulky, and dumb. But this looks good. And so for comparison, as you can see with the image here, exaggerated shoulder pads on the Stallone version of Judge Dredd. But before we go further, pay attention. Gun at the moment here has red lights along the side. And now it's blue. Now, we can assume that there's going to be a stun buff on this pistol. But we've seen red, we've seen blue. And here, we see it changing green. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into this a little bit too far, but Judge Dredd's gun, the Lawmaker, had this ability where he would talk to it or he would ask for particular rounds, like stun rounds, explosive rounds and stuff like that. It makes me wonder whether Arrowhead are just giving a few different options, like just a full, I don't know, explosive bullet round or a stun round or something like that. It would be quite interesting because they're referencing both Judge Dredd and Robocop movie themes. Makes me wonder whether the pistol has some similarities to the actual movie-based Lawmaker. Interesting. We also see it take out the voteless with 2 shots pretty much each. So yeah, we get the BP-77 Grand Juror armor. The Badge of Order cape looks beautiful. The P-92 Warrant, which is homage to the Lawmaker. Beautiful looking pistol. Can't wait to use it. And yeah, these are all going to be available in the Superstore. So for the AR-32 Pacifier and the G109 Urchin, Arrowhead say, first let's talk gear. The AR-32 Pacifier, a large capacity assault rifle, is the last word in defense against enemies roaming the colonies. Combine it with the new G109 Urchin stun grenade, which attaches to the perp and dispenses electrical pulses until they're incapacitated. And you can handle any size squid assembly until they're capacitated. I'd like to assume that the accuracy on this weapon is pretty good with a stock at the back here. But when it comes to having a large capacity magazine, I'm starting to think that this may well only be light penetrating damage. I don't see something with a laser, a stock, a decent amount of bullets being medium penetrating, unfortunately. But hold on, they say. You're still going to need some backup diver. We can't think of a better Really? You're still going to need some backup diver. We can't think of a better companion than the AX Arc-free Guard Dog K9. Loyal to its core, literally. It will cook your core. The arc-powered K9 will get between you and any threat to your authority. Just be wary of the occasional accidental friendly bite. So yeah, this gets to my point where I feel like this is kind of aimed at solo divers because you're not going to just use this in random games. And I play the majority of my games randomly. But as I said earlier, if I see someone jump in with one of those, that's like jumping into a defense mission with nothing but mortars. And judging by what we saw in the clip with the fact that it didn't take all of the voteless out or didn't even stun all of the voteless out, you've got better options. You've got the laser rover, and you've got the gas rover too. The fire rate on this is going to have to be something stupid to impress me, man. Yeah, I'm buying the hell out of this armor. The BP-20 correct officer medium and the BP-32 jackboot, which is light. Both armors come with the ballistic padding passive that grants the wearer higher resistance to chest damage, explosive damage, and all damage from bleeding. Damn, I feel like they've had Robocop in mind, like you're wearing his exoskeleton, a mix of Alex Murphy and Robocop in one. That's literally what that armor is. The shoulders and the helmet are Robocop, and the body and everything else is Alex Murphy. That's great. If that's what Arrowhead have done, like, superb. Okay, we get a true blue pattern. Force of Law also includes new patterns. Watch them scatter when your paddy wagon, the FRV, rolls down the street with the true blue pattern. Also available for your exosuits and hell pods. Speaking of hell pods, be sure to equip the new booster stun pods. Why? Which hotwires your drops to shock nearby suspects into a stupor. Again, this leads me to feel that the Warbond is mainly aimed at solo divers, because when you think about it too, the Warbond theme itself is about two characters that are essentially lone wolves. You have Robocop and you have Judge Dredd, along with utilities and many other things that to me tell you that, take this, it's dangerous to go alone. This Warbond does encourage me to run just a complete arc-themed loadout, because I do think you could potentially do some damage, even with the blitzer and stuff like that. But so far, it comes to the fact that the guard dog itself looks, well, it needs a high fire rate. The de-escalator, to me, didn't look like it did enough damage to necessitate taking, whereas you could just use the grenade launcher, and it looked like it would have dealt with that mob in the example of the video earlier. This I want to see. Like, I'm interested to see what this is like, because at the minute, nothing is changing my mind from using the pyrotech grenades in no way, shape or form. And when it comes to the pacifier, it's most likely using a stun buff. It's got a decent sized magazine. It's got a bump stock, and I don't see it being medium based penetrating. Even from the speed of the fire rate it looks to have in the videos, to me, it looks like it's going to be an assault rifle, a light armor damaging assault rifle. But I really do love myself a good assault rifle. So yeah, the Warbond looks good. It looks good. I do feel like Arrowhead have done well, considering that the Masters of Ceremony Warbond was really disappointing, and the audience definitely let them know about that. And, oh yeah, I nearly forgot the emotes and victory poses, but I'm never really too fussed about them, to be honest. So yeah, this Warbond is definitely a lot better than the Masters of Ceremony video, and this is definitely kind of a different video for the channel as well, but I'm looking at doing as many pieces on updates when it comes to like Warbonds and stuff like that with regards to Helldivers, instead of focusing so much energy on one video. I'm still finishing off the Helldivers movie theory video. I'm working hard on that one. So, but yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I guess until next time.